All right, guys, this is the first look at the Apollo SRZ Sano. This is like the Apollo Thunder of Europe. So this is the first look of it. All I took out was, obviously took off the box. And here we have, looks like a fender, front tire, and then the front shocks. So we're gonna go ahead and start the unboxing process, which is just gonna be some zip ties.
Wrong.
There's two hidden bolts down here on the bottom. There was some metal zip ties, which I just had to use some. Okay, I got all the zip ties. There was only a few left over. It was holding in the kickstand, the front fender, and then also this looks like the bottom skid plate. The downside I see of this bottom skid plate already, is that it's plastic. So I'm not sure how well this is gonna hold up in the long term. So that's kind of a little bit disappointing. And then there was also this box, which I just haven't looked inside yet. Let's see what we got. So it looks like whatever this is, I'm not sure. This is my first dirt bike, guys, so just kind of bear with me. I'm kind of inexperienced. So this looks like the front handlebar, some instruction manual, some hardware, some it looks like the shifter, some more hardware. So you have an axle bolt, a little Chinese toolkit. This looks like for the pad. So it is a soft rubber pad, so that's good. So yeah, we're gonna work on getting these bolts right here taken out. Like I said, it's just a Phillips head screwdriver. I think it's a number 2 and a 10mm ratchet. All right, so I got all 6 of the screws and nuts. So there's one right here in the middle, and one right there at the end, and it's on both sides. You can take off the cage, you can see right there. And I apologize for the loud noise in the background. As you can see, there's a freeway in the background. The storage unit is our first day here, and yeah, it's kind of a little bit ghetto, but everything will be all right. One thing I noticed when I took off the cage, what I didn't notice before, is you can see right here, this is the center of this rack, or like the cage that it's in, right? And when I open the box, my tire is all the way on this side. So my bike is actually sitting in there crooked. So I'm not sure if that happened in shipment or if maybe they forgot to tie it down. I can see maybe it came off. I'm not sure what happened. So I guess we just have to look and see if there's any damage. I'm not seeing any obvious damage. I am seeing a little bit of oil in here, but maybe that's normal. I'm not really sure. This is my first dirt bike, guys. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get this thing out of this bottom cage, and we're gonna go ahead and get it on there somehow by myself, with no handlebars. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I don't kill myself. All right, guys, so I guess I lied. You can get at me in the comments if you're following this tutorial. There's 2 hidden bolts down here on the bottom, as you can see right there. And yeah, I didn't know until I was lifting it up, and obviously it wouldn't come out. There's 2. There's 1 on each side, as you can see right there. So we're gonna go ahead and get those out, and then see if we can finally lift this bike over to our stand. All right, guys, I got it inside. It's probably at least 200 pounds. It's a really heavy ass bike. I'm doing it by myself, so that made it even harder. Thankfully it was a short distance. One thing I did notice was whenever I was taking off, if you guys remember the last clip, there was a bar going right here with the 2 bolts that I missed. This was actually broken off. You can see here with the welds actually broken off of the frame. You see right there. So that was probably what happened during shipment. Maybe it fell on the ground maybe a little too hard, and it broke off the welds, and it caused the bike to shift. I'm not seeing any damage so far, but I guess we won't really know until the bike's assembled. So Unfortunately, I'm by myself right now, so I have nobody to hold the camera up for me while I assemble it. So we're just gonna have to just go step by step on the video. And there was no way in hell I was gonna get it on my stand. Yeah, impossible. And I actually just bought the stand yesterday, and it's missing parts, so I can't even fully assemble it. So it probably wasn't even safe in the first place for me to even attempt to use the stand. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and continue, pull up the instruction manual, figure out what's next. Probably figuring out this front tire setup so we can get it off of the frame. Which it's resting on the frame in the front, but in the back, you see there's a bar right there. One thing I did notice was this tag. Please remove the wire band of the engine breathe tube before you using the vehicle. So our good friends in China, as you can see, they don't have proper grammar. If not, it will cause a big air pressure inside the engine and explosion. You will be killed or seriously hurt if you don't follow the instructions. So guys, make sure you are following the instructions and unkink that tube, or you will be killed in an explosion. That is not dramatic at all. All right guys, so I was looking through some of the paperwork and I was taking these out of the box. As of right now, I have no idea what these are for. This is obviously for our gear shifter, this is for our handlebars, and this is probably for the rear shaft. So I was going through these papers, right? And believe it or not, it comes with 2 user manuals with no assembly instructions. So there's not a single ounce of assembly instructions or something you could use to assemble this bike. So me personally, I have 0 experience working on dirt bikes, building my own dirt bike. So this is gonna be a learning process on a very big learning curve if you're not mechanically inclined. I have some experience working on cars, but my main experience is working on aircraft. I used to work on the B-10. Now you know.
They ain't alive no more.
But so this is gonna be a journey, that's for sure. So the first things first, for those of you that are following along, if you don't know or any familiar with dirt bikes, to take off the rear seat, there is a bolt right here. It's actually in the seat, as you can see right here. And all it is just a castle nut and a washer. So I think it's called a castle nut. It's called a wing nut or something like that. So yeah, so just take that off. It's hand tight, and this gives you access to take off the seat. And there's our battery, and I'm assuming air filter. Looks like. So we got the rear. I think this is called. I don't know. I forgot. It has to do with the rear shock though. So you can see the shock right here. It's connected to this thing. It's already bolted in. It's these 2 bolts. You have to install them. The shorter one goes right here, and the longer one goes on this side. So, or I think no, it's vice versa. Longer, shorter. So now you're just gonna put a little bit of grease on the bolts, and the bolts are just like this. They're smooth, and you throw a little grease on there, and then on these threads, you go and put some blue Loctite on there, and you then torque it down. I don't know what the spec, the torque spec is, so it's gonna have to feel it. I'll pull up the specification on the screen.
1 hour later.
Alright guys, I was editing this video and I figured I would go over here and give you guys what I have on the front forks install and the tire install, just so you're not in the dark like I was. So here, if you look on the screen, this photo is showing is the bike up on a stand, and the arrow with the blue arrow is the right side of the bike, and the red circle is the left side of the bike. So you position your shocks exactly like that when you're preparing to put on the front axle screw for the front tire. Another thing too is on the top, the nut part of the shocks. Just make sure it's flush with the top of the strut mount I think I'm using the right terms. I'm not sure. But yeah, just follow this picture. And if you also look too on the red circle, I'll show it again on here, where this red circle is on the shocks. Those two small screw holes underneath the big one, those are where the brake caliper screws into. So you just position it. You kind of have to use your common sense and get it on there. It only goes on there one way. It'll be in contact with the rotor and obviously be screwed in. And then on here, this other screenshot, but this is the part that goes through the tire, through the front struts. So this thick part goes on the right side. So what you want to do is first go on the right side, that opposite side of the brake caliper. You want to screw in the threaded side through in first, and then put the tire on, and then the threads will go through the tire. And then there's also a spacer. I don't have a picture of it, but there's a spacer that goes on the threaded side, and then you want to obviously put some Loctite on there and torque it down. But yeah, I just wanted to give you some little insight. If you guys have any questions about this front axle install, or even the brake caliper install, just let me know in the comments, and I can do what I can to help you. Sorry I didn't get any footage. It was kind of stressful trying to figure it all out, and I didn't have my mental game to.
All right, guys, we just got it started. We had quite a bit of technical difficulties. I haven't rode it yet. I'm just letting it warm up and idle. Let me know in the comments. I'm not sure how to tune a dirt bike. So, does this idle speed, does it sound correct? Let me know in the comments, because I have no idea, and it's really hard. I don't know what I'm doing. So it's really hard for me to like tell the RPMs by my ear. But this is the carburetor I have. It actually came stock from the factory with a Nibby. See up here, a Nibby 28 millimeter carb, fully tunable. I have the idle screw and the fuel mixture screw. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take off these covers if I can do it. See if there's a satisfying peel. Not really. Ooh! Yeah, I'm gonna have to do this off camera. But yeah, we'll go ahead and take off all these papers over the plastic, and then we'll do our first test drive. All right, guys, we got all the plastics off, or whatever you want to call it, the little wax paper. So yeah, here's what we're looking like. So if you couldn't tell, I got the blue version, the blue and orange. This is a nice looking bike. It looks smaller in person, or sorry, smaller on camera than it does in person. I'm 6 foot, and I can, when I'm riding, when the bike's completely straight and level, I'm like on the mid, like pretty much where the pad of my foot is. So just for a size reference for anyone out there that's looking for one of these things. So a little backstory. This is an Apollo bike. So if you guys are familiar with the Apollo Thunder that kind of went crazy a few years ago, this is directly from Apollo in France. So they're obviously a made in China bike, but they're designed by a company called Apollo in France. And this is where I got my bike from France. Because if you didn't know, I'm actually living in Germany right now. So I was able to get this thing for $2,200 US with shipping. And that's including some upgrades already pre-installed. So we have fully adjustable front shocks, rear shock too, disc brakes, and we also, when I showed you earlier, was our 28 millimeter Nibby carburetor. And so that alone is like almost $90 on Amazon. And then I think it also has the gold chain, which I think that, you guys have to say in the comments. So for anyone looking, I'm not too sure, but I think there's some other upgrades too They're not, it's obviously not, you know, it's $5,000, $10,000 bike. It's not like a motocross bike or anything like that. And then that's not what I'm looking for. Me personally, I'm just looking for something to take on the trails, take to a track that's like non-motocross, maybe take it on some little jumps, you know, like maybe a couple feet. But right now I'm at the kind of the learning process, so I'm just learning how to even ride this thing from the jump. So we're gonna go ahead. The bike's been idling for a while now. We'll give you guys the throttle. It's very responsive. So that wasn't even full throttle. This thing is very, very loud. I don't want to be too loud because I don't want any problems with the neighbors. But yeah, guys, I'm really impressed with this bike. I'm excited for future content and figure out what this thing will do. And I also want to go over some point in this video too, the full install process. I wasn't able to record a lot of it whenever I was installing it because I had some issues with like the fuel filter right here, the inline tube, and then I also had some issues with putting on this front tire. So when I bought it from France, it actually came differently than how they do in the States. My front shocks were not installed. I had to install the front shocks, or the forks, and the front brake, and the front tire. Alright guys, just wanted to give kind of my final thoughts about the bike and some things that I noticed that are design flaws, maybe something that could be a deal breaker for you. Personally, nothing has been that bad for me or like a deal breaker. As you can see, I've been getting some little bit of riding in, just like over here on the road. There's a little bit of an off-road area, but it's not really like a trail or anything, so it's got a little mud. But anyway, some of the things that I kind of didn't go over earlier or mention earlier, and if I did, I apologize, but one of the things I had to change was actually this fuel flow valve. And what happened was, I'll put a picture on the screen, but one of these hoses was actually kinked. It was this one. It was too short and this one was too long, and so it caused the filter to go down and be kinked. So my carb wasn't getting enough fuel, and that was giving me some starting issues when I first got it, like right out the box. So that was a kind of a annoying thing. Like, I just filled up the fuel tank. Yeah, maybe I should have noticed that, and I did, but I didn't think it was a big deal because I saw fuel go in, but it was like restricted. I actually had to take all these clips off with some pliers and actually cut that tube about, like, I cut it about maybe half inch off, and then I installed it. And obviously I had to drain my fuel tank and whatever, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't, you know, that big of a deal, but yeah, it was a little bit annoying because, you know, I shouldn't have to do that, but it is what it is. So far the bike has been really good, and I haven't really taken it out yet, like on a trail. I'm waiting for me to get a hitch installed on my car, and then once we get it installed, then I'll get a trailer, which I already have a trailer, just need a hitch, and then we'll finally get out on some trails. I do want to use a GoPro on the helmet and actually get some footage for you guys off road, and kind of be like a regular thing. So let me know in the comments what type of content you guys want to see. But one of the last things I noticed, well, I think it was the last thing, was this kickstand, or sorry, Kickstarter. So it has electric start, see? So, and it works. It works good. But, you know, having the Kickstarter as a backup is kind of an important thing for me because I want to be able to have reliability. So something I noticed whenever I was trying to kickstart it, when I was having those starting issues, was if you look, let's see if I can do this by hand. My kickstand doesn't get it full motion and it hits the foot peg. So they actually have this holder right here so you can hold up the foot peg. But the thing is the slightest tap, it comes off. See? Sometimes it doesn't even go on. And so whenever you're kicking, you can actually maybe see. Maybe you can't. But it hits. So you can see right there. It hits it. And so that little bit of a tap is enough to knock it off. And then my Kickstarter's stuck underneath the foot peg. You see? And yeah, that's a kind of annoying thing. I don't know why it's like that. Maybe mine's a little bit defective or something, but it's not catching on here. You know, it's supposed to hold on right here. And if you look on this, there's a little divot that's supposed to hold it. So I feel like this divot should be more aggressive to be able to hold this on tightly. Ow, I got pinched. To be able to hold it on tightly and not, you know, have to sit here messing with it when you're trying to kickstart. So, you know, that is kind of a big deal breaker for maybe someone else, especially if you want to have the Kickstarter. For me, it's not really a deal breaker, but that definitely is the most frustrating thing about this bike so far. It is really heavy too. It weighs, I think, like 250 pounds, 270 pounds. And so it's really heavy. So I'm not really sure how it's going to do on the trails because I know, you know, being lightweight is an advantage out there. So hopefully it's not going to be too much of an issue. Another thing I noticed too right out the box was my foot brake. I don't know if this is normal, but it seems like I don't have a whole lot of rear braking, which I know it can be adjusted. So, but I also know too that the rear brakes, if you use the rear brakes too hard, you can lose traction. So maybe it's like that for a reason. I'm going to kind of see how it is for the first time off-road, and then I'm kind of going to go off of that for adjustments. I know these front shocks are adjustable, but I don't know how to adjust it. At least I think this is this bronze screw. I tried to turn it, but it was just so tight I couldn't even move it. So, and I don't want to accidentally break something. So let me know in the comments. This might be a stupid question, but I'm pretty sure this is how you adjust it. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, one of the things I do want to get on this bike, aftermarket wise, really nothing. Like parts, maybe upgrade the suspension when I go back to the States. But out of the box, man, this thing is a beast. Like, it's my first dirt bike, but this thing is really fast. Like, I accidentally popped a wheelie earlier, just not even popping the clutch or nothing, just doing the throttle. I was in 4th gear and I just got on it. I full throttled it and it popped me up, like probably 4 or 5 inches off the ground. That was pretty scary, especially as a beginner, but you know, I didn't fall or anything. I haven't fell, or the bike hasn't fell yet. I almost fell, but nothing that we couldn't easily recover. It's kind of strange because, yeah, I'm a new rider, but it honestly it feels second nature to me. And I've never I rode a dirt bike before, but without a clutch. It was just like a 3-speed, a little Yamaha, like YZ85 or something like that. I don't know. It was like for a little 10-year-old or something. And I was like 15 riding it, and that thing was really fun. It'd probably go like 40 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. But yeah, guys, so those are kind of my thoughts about this bike. I also do like it has a key. So if I want to leave it temporarily somewhere, then I can... I just noticed this. Is that normal? It seems like it's really long. It's not loose. Or at least not hand loose. That's weird. There's not one on that side. One thing I did notice too is this screw that are holding on my freaking tire. they were loose. So I actually had to come in here and tighten it. This thing was kind of a pain to get in. I had to get 2 other people to help me because I bought this jack stand and it doesn't properly hold up the bike because of missing parts. It's kind of annoying, so I got to return that. One thing, I did scratch up my shock though, so yeah, rip. And this thing got a little bit of damage in shipping too. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, I'm kind of just yapping at this point, but yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Yeah.